Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first Mind Refinery podcast, provided to you by us, the Mind Refinery, creators of content, aggregators of popular culture, and place where creatives go to thrive. For this episode, we're going to be discussing The Mandalorian and the future of Star Wars live-action TV. Before we get started, just a little Mind Refinery news. We recently dropped episode 2 of our doc series, This Is Cosplay. It features the story of mad genius Kin Chan from Wampan's Cosplay. Seriously, the level of skills on this guy is absolutely intense. You can find that on the Mind Refinery YouTube channel or on our website, themindrefinery.com. If you're not already subscribing to our YouTube channel, do it. Ring the bell. Great content, podcasts, docu-series, and we're just giving that shit away. So without further ado, here's the podcast. Here with us today to discuss The Mandalorian and the future of Star Wars live action on Disney+, we have Andrew Lanca, Andrew Van Eek, and Omar Morrison, all Mind Refinery creatives. So to start, gentlemen, what I would like to do is let's talk about expectations. This was in the works for a while. So what were your expectations going to this? So you hear Disney's going to do a live action TV show. Like, what did we think? What did we think was going to happen?
I mean, expectations are going to be pretty high no matter what. You got Favreau tweeting out a picture of the helmet. And yeah, that just set expectations. The helmet, like the character design of Mando, like just even his silhouette, you got his whole silhouette with his armor and his gun popping out the side. Like the character design is just, out of this world. I don't know. The expectations were high. Like it's like if you're a Star Wars fan and you hear Mandalorian, if you're a Star Wars fan, you know who the Mandalorians are. Mm-hmm. You're excited.
Yeah, I definitely think they put on the Disney, press offensive in order to like get everyone ramped up for it. But like coming out of the movies at the time, like, what do we think about, like, what do we think that like tarnished it a bit? What do we think?
There's fatigue.
I've been hurt by the Star Wars franchise now so many times that I think I've just mitigated expectations. Jon Favreau signing on, huge. I like how he just has a crazy ability. All of his projects are very simple and mechanically sound from the writing standpoint. But, yeah.
Yeah, I had expectations. Like I was excited just because obviously you hear, like Lanca said, if you hear Mandalorian, you're gonna be like, holy shit, because it's one of the first times we're gonna see that on live action. Because basically the only time we've ever seen it was Boba Fett, and give or take.
And Django.
Yeah,
right? Boba Fett. I mean, he's not really a Mandalorian.
Not really a Mandalorian clone, well, but
It's funny because like when Pedro Pascal was first cast to do this, he actually thought he'd be playing Boba Fett.
And a lot of people thought that as well, right?
Yeah.
So like for me, I thought it was just going to be a show about Boba Fett originally. But then as I, started reading the comics and the books and finding out about more of the Mandalorian Wars and stuff like that, I was kind of interested in where Disney was going to take it. So for me, it was just more like, all right, let's see what they do. I didn't really have like an expectation like that it's going to be amazing, it's going to be great. It's just like, okay, let's just see what it is and how they go about it.
There was a lot of fatigue at the time, though. Like at the time when they announced it. I mean, personally, like I'm a Star Wars fan. I'm going to see whatever movie comes out, whatever show comes out. Like I'm on board. But at the time, you had a lot of you had Rogue One. Yeah. You had Last Jedi. People were fatigued with the franchise. There was just saturation. I wouldn't say flop because they made all the money. Let's be real. But as far as, fan reaction, critic reaction, divisive to say the least. So I think at the time when they announced it, there was like, everybody was, interested, but like as you said, you're kind of like mitigating your expectations a little bit.
Yeah, I think now that anytime they announce that they're doing a Star Wars project, there is like a guardedness people always, approach it with, as if they're protecting part of their childhood that is slowly dying every time they come out and they end up doing something bad. Like, I mean, I think everyone has a specific like PTSD about the prequels. And just,
I wouldn't say everybody. You know what? With the prequels, you had a whole generation of kids that was their first Star Wars, right? So now you have all these kids that were, that wasn't our generation's first Star Wars. There's a whole generation of kids that have grown up that being their first Star Wars, and they have a love for it. That's what that got them into the franchise. So I wouldn't say everybody. I would say people our age generally probably have a bit of a dislike for the prequels, but they have their fan base. I really
don't entirely agree with that because I was a kid when the first one came out.
I'm saying but they weren't your first Star Wars. I'm saying kids were raised on that trilogy, on the prequel trilogy.
So would you say that then there is general appreciation of the trilogy? Because I would completely disagree with that.
Yeah, 100%. People love. Have you seen prequel memes on Reddit? Like, people love the prequels, dude.
Well, I've definitely listened to the prequel hate, which is 10-1 on hate on Reddit for sure.
And I honestly, so. the corner has turned on the prequels in the fan base. I will say,
we're getting Boyan over here on technical is shaking his head aggressively.
I'm gonna say there are a lot of people that have a fondness for the prequels, especially a younger generation.
I'm going to say that most people I talk to, even my little cousins, are like, first of all, let's trash the first one right away. So 33% of it is terrible.
I like Phantom Menace.
Okay, and Attack of the Clones. If you
Attack of the Clones is garbage.
Okay,
Attack of the Clones
we
is
know
garbage.
about right now we've established with the first trilogy
is
that 33% of it is terrible.
Revenge of the Sith is fucking dope.
Well, I will say that there is a small group that will support
it's not 10 to 1 though. It's not 10 to 1.
I think we're being nice because we're recording.
Probably.
Yeah.
I think we're being nice because we're recording.
No, but there is argument. I've seen some videos.
Do you know what it is too?
You said everyone, and I said it's far from everyone.
So
that
I apologize for the hyperbole. So 2 out of 10 people like the prequels. But here's the thing with the prequels, is that there are good parts to the prequels that are overshadowed by the incredibly bad parts. So it's like, you know what? Revenge of the Sith is an example of where I'm like, yes, and then all of a sudden I'm like. Then all of a sudden he's like, but in my opinion, it is the Jedi who are terrible. And I'm like, you just took me out of the main fight.
Listen, nobody said Lucas can write dialogue.
Well, he just did 6 hours of it in those prequels.
Yeah, I mean, fair, but it's the writing. No, is I see not what you. No, I see what you mean. He needed a wrangle. He needed a wrangle. He was surrounded by himself by yes men. Yeah. He needed somebody there to check his shit.
And I think,
are we allowed to say shit?
Yes, we're allowed to say shit. I think you hit it there though, with that, like especially with, with Empire. He decided like we're gonna go with Kirshner and we're gonna go with Lord.
And he had his ex-wife. I apologize. Her first name. Marsha Lucas?
Yeah.
Marsha Lucas?
I believe so, yes.
I could be wrong, but Boyan, pull that up. She edited New Hope. Well, I mean, at the time it wasn't called New Hope, it was just called Star Wars. But yeah, she edited that shit, and she had so much to do with why that movie was a success. Was it Marsha Lucas? Marsha. What's her name now? I don't believe is it still Marsha Lucas? Oh, okay. Wow.
Might as well keep the IP.
Cool.
Lucas IP.
Yeah. So I mean, and then as you said with Marquand or Marquand.
Yeah.
He surrounded. I mean, even he had, Spielberg on there, like getting in there and talking to him about what works and what doesn't work, and he had a screening with Coppola and everybody and Spielberg. At the time, and they were just like they tore it apart, and he didn't have that for the prequels.
Back to the expectations part, and I'll take you back. Matrix had just come out. Like, it's all around the same time. We were just like hyped on like so many movies. You're so excited. It's new Star Wars. I've watched these movies like my entire life over and over and over
Matrix
again.
was after episode 1 though.
But in the same time period.
It's coming at the same time as the prequels.
Just disappointment. Sheer disappointment. And I've always been timid to be excited about a Star Wars.
When episode 1 dropped, man, I fucking loved it, dude. I was on that Pizza Hut, Taco Bell fucking action figure.
Oh man, I was on many of them cups.
Yeah, all the cups, like they had
Darth
little
Maul
like
cups.
they had like the little pog things, like. Yeah. Oh, all that shit. I was on that train hard. I loved it.
I will say this. On the other side, though, like I enjoy like the Clone Wars cartoon and stuff like that with the Tartakovsky one, or even the one that's like they're really good. And what's cool about them, especially the Clone Wars one, is that like they start exploring the Mandalorian culture.
Yeah.
I mean, you got Obi-Wan's main squeeze as a Mandalorian. You know what I mean? And like you start to see what the culture's about, how they were decimated, by the Empire. And I think those gave me, a lot of hope in that they were good on the episodic front. Yeah. And that maybe you would get a showrunner, because, in TV, like you get a showrunner and that showrunner, digs into it. And then if you have a good showrunner, then, when you have, and it was Filoni from Clone Wars also was running this show. Yeah. So like there's there's a good, and Jon Favreau obviously handled his part of the whole Disney cinematic universe. Marvel cinematic universe. Like his part, his contribution to it. Yeah, he did fantastic. So if there's reasons to be guarded, but I mean, I was excited for the subject matter, obviously, like absolutely. But yeah, so the description of it, part of it, the lone gunfighter. And the imagery that the lone gunfighter goes to the edges of the galaxy, it really plays it up like a Western. Like it's like Gunsmoke, like it's Bonanza. Like we're going to see this guy and it's this, it brings these ideas of like almost like a Clint Eastwood movie coming to it. So like, like having seen the episodes now, like what do we think?
Basically, it's funny that you say it's like a Western. I don't know if you guys started to see the memes, but there is a manga or graphic novel called Lone Wolf and Cub.
Yeah, it's
so it took inspiration. Like you could see that they took inspiration directly from that show. For those who don't know, it's basically a show about a Ronin samurai, and he was the executioner for the shogun. And at a time, I think can't remember the time period in Japan, but he was the executioner, and his family is murdered. He's betrayed by the people he's working for, and his family's murdered. And the only person left is his little son that's about 1 year old at the time. And so he makes a vow to get his revenge and says he's going to walk the path of demons. And he basically says, gives his son a choice. His son's a baby. He puts a ball and a sword and says if he chooses the ball, I'm going to kill him and he'll be with his mother and his family. But if he chooses the sword, he'll walk the path of demons with me. And they'll become wandering swords for hire until they can find the people who are responsible for the deaths of their family. So like there is like a cool picture where you see that samurai and his son in like a little stroller, and then now you see Baby Yoda in like that little floating kind of carriage with the Mandalorian. So when I saw that kind of piqued my expectations a bit more because I know the story of Lone Wolf and Cub. So I'm wondering as the show continues if they're going to draw more from that or if they're going to kind of make it their own and just keep going in a different direction.
When did that show come out?
And just for the listeners, Lone Wolf and Cub was a huge influence on Jon Favreau, and he said in interviews, and in terms of the creating, the show. But I mean, it's interesting because like it brings back those ideas of like samurai, samurai narratives, and it brings back the cowboy thing, and I think at first they've done a really good job in kind of injecting that into the story, because like when I was younger, the Star Wars extended universe stuff, especially like Tales from the Cantina, like those books, and like Tales of the Bounty Hunter, where you're seeing kind of like the criminal and like not Skywalker saga narrative. Like I always wanted to know more about that because I felt like that was one thing that was really good about the extended universe, is that the Skywalker saga kind of like was claustrophobic, and there's all these little side things that I want to know about,
kind of surrounding everything,
like the little seedy underbelly.
Exactly. I want to know like what's the what is the organized crime element to this, and like what's more about what's going on with Jabba and the type of people.
We got a little of that in Rogue One. I feel like we got a little bit of that seedy underbelly in Rogue One,
and I liked it, and I think like that's kind of, and we'll get to the further ambitions of the Star Wars live action TV moving forward, but like it seems to be their overall MO for that is to tap those kind of stories.
Sorry. I was just gonna say Lone Wolf and Cub. It came out in 1970.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So it was a while ago.
So I know. Funny trivia side note that is on Jizza Liquid Swords, the beginning of the song Liquid Swords, and it says, "Come boy, you must choose life or death," and it's from Shogun Assassin, which is actually an English dubbed version that's a summary of all of those books or the films. And it's got like a couple parts from each, like a re-edit. Anyway,
I think that's pretty cool.
Ooh. And now you know.
RZA.
I love it.
Inspire
everything
RZA.
You can learn is through the Wu-Tang Clan.
Yes.
Continue, Lanca.
So I was just gonna say what I really liked actually in The Mandalorian is in the first episode they really set the scene. It's like it opened up on that first episode in like that random outpost, that random bar, and you had that standoff in the bar, and like you have that intense scene, and the dude gets chopped in half by the door closing, and you're like, okay, this ain't your grandpa's Star Wars. Like, this is gonna be something different. So they really set the scene in the tone. And you just even have things like when the Mando's walking around, you can even hear like his spurs clinging. Like, yeah, like they just really embrace that whole the whole theme and the whole motif of like, the lone gunslinger. Almost, in my opinion, a little too much now. I don't know how much I like these newer episodes.
I think what's happened is that with the whole having a Baby Yoda in it, or the artist currently known
Shout
as
out Baby Yoda.
Shout out to
The
Baby
kid.
Yoda,
The Baby
the
Yoda.
cutest
Shout out
mofo
to
in
the
all
kid.
the galaxy, in the whole Outer Rim. Is that they've taken that, like, it's going to be Gunsmoke each episode, guy wandering from town to town, solving crime, and having stories and having various things happening.
Adventures.
But with the Baby Yoda thing is that they created an expectation and a thing that requires a through line. So you're kind of just carrying Baby Yoda with you ever. And by the way, he's a terrible parent. He just kind of leaves it in the closet sometimes.
He's got a little bed kind of thing
he's
in there.
50.
Looks like there's pads.
He can take care of himself. He's 50.
Should he be paying rent? More of a contributing member of the crew, perhaps?
Honestly, he's doing his thing.
He is. He is doing his thing. But, like, I want to know, like, for example, when he uses his force power for the first time. Like,
Well, I mean, I don't think that was his first time. I think that was
that's the first time we see it.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, the whole point is, okay, so we learned something about him. But, like, in the last few episodes, we haven't learned anything else.
No, absolutely. That's why you had the second episode, like you mentioned, where you see Baby Yoda on that not Tatooine planet.
Yes.
Uses force powers against that monster thing. And yeah, no, I got it. You needed that. You need to have that tension. You needed Yoda to have that moment. So I thought, okay, cool. And then, third episode was kind of more back to like this core storyline with the Mandalorians. And I love that lore, and I love him upgrading his armor. Like, I think that's so fucking cool.
That part.
Yeah, that's amazing.
I love that motif. I really want
Upgrading
that.
the armor is extra awesome.
As like a video game fan, like, you're gonna love that. Like, that's such a cool concept. But then as it's going on, it's like, okay, I think we're kind of getting these like town of the week type episodes, like goes here, like we're gonna solve like this episode, and it went more from this like epic story, which I guess, I mean, I understand that you can't have every single story be this like Skywalker epic.
No, I feel like it's starting to get a Littlest Hobo vibe.
Yeah.
For those of you
Wow.
who are too cool or young to know what the Littlest Hobo
Or
is,
not from Canada.
or
I'm
not
pretty
from
sure.
Canada,
Yeah.
is it used to be a Canadian show where a dog
German
would go for
Shepherd.
a German Shepherd, because a pug could not definitely execute that.
No.
The German Shepherd goes from town to town solving very random crimes
In rural Canada.
in rural Canada.
Oh wow.
So we're
Can
going to
we-
go to
Can you sing
Gananoque to solve a crime.
Can you sing the theme song?
Is it that?
Maybe tomorrow.
No. Okay, but anyways, the point is that it just
That's actually you never said that. That's actually, you've nailed it. It's actually the Littlest Hobo.
That's what it's becoming right now
of Star
But all
Wars.
you needed to do kind of to deal with that is like continue the through line, because obviously you can't have
That's
the
what they
whole
need to
thing
do,
about
yeah.
every single episode be about what is Baby Yoda's identity. But what you can do is thread and intricately work those things
Absolutely.
into the episodes.
Are you okay though? Consider that they are, like in the most recent episode, you still have Carl Weathers' character coming through on the. Did I say his name right?
You did. He's the incomparable Apollo Creed.
Yeah. Right, like there is still a bit of through line there in terms of the droid finds the message from him on the ship and then knows something
tries to
about
go
him,
kill
and, right?
Baby Yoda.
Exactly. So
Which is
That's good.
bullshit.
I haven't seen the newest episode. I apologize.
I cannot refrain from spoilers in this particular setting.
That's
Do
fine.
it.
Yo, what's with not watching the episode, bro?
Wow, get exposed.
You getting exposed on recording. I think
Put some
that
exposed film
I
tape
think-
on his forehead.
See, that's the thing is like I think that they do like those are the kind of things. Like it was good that they did that. So at least like you're bringing it back to what the original thing. But
Right, but so what happens if? My question to you is, what happens if they just tread lightly like that, and then maybe in episode 7 there's a little bit advancement of the Yoda plot line, and they just kind of, so you keep it this episodic thing, this adventure, cowboy show, and then just add just little sprinkles.
well, I think
I don't like all these side quests. I don't like them. It's like I feel
I
like
think that
I
that's
feel like
the
they're
show.
filler episodes.
I feel like you're watching something like Samurai Champloo, and it's like a side episode. It's all side episodes.
I think the whole
that's like
thing
it's
might
like
be
filler.
that
It's like
way.
filler episodes, like in anime.
it's
Like when
all
you have
of them
like
are,
filler
all
arcs.
of them are side quests.
Yeah, it's exactly. It's fetch quests. It's like side quests that you just can't be asked to
So
do.
it's an anime essentially.
Yeah, it's
Just
for sure.
one,
For
but
sure.
it's like-
giant filler.
Yeah,
surrounded
and I
by
think that
story.
Lots of filler episodes, exactly.
Yeah, and I think that what's happening is it's kind of taken away. It's lost kind of the steam that it had in the first one. But I mean, it's one of those things where I mean that's the direction they've taken it, and now they're starting to run out of episodes in the first season. And also you see shows also trying to figure out what their
Every
situation
show.
is in the first season, right?
To be honest, I don't think they realized how big Baby Yoda was going to be when they did that.
I don't know. I
Because
think they
like
did.
just the lack of merch.
When it comes,
Well, they wanted to keep it under wraps. They didn't want to make all this. They don't want to put out all this merch and have it leaked.
I think when it comes to Star Wars, there's always the like, what are we gonna like? For example,
What are we going to put in for?
it's like an empire. It's like we know they have to attack the rebel base, but these AT-ATs are going to be super dope.
Yeah, because you got to sell toys.
But
gotta
AT-ATs
sell
are
toys.
dope, so we appreciate them.
Yeah,
Well,
but then you have them ham-fisted into what episode 3, 4 of Mandalorian 3
Yeah.
Oh, the AT-ST
with the red eyes. It's a bad
it's an
AT-ST.
evil AT-ST.
Yeah, but the films were doing that like way worse. That's another reason I like what they're doing here is, and the side quest thing might come into that, is that like there was like the super Star Destroyer in the last Jedi.
Yeah, the Dreadnought.
That
Right,
huge.
like
yeah.
it was just getting ridiculous, and then
Nebulon-
you go
Nebulon
bigger and
Class
bigger.
B.
They can't go any bigger. There's already, so you got to just kind of
Super
pare it down. Super duper
Super
Star Destroyer.
duper Star
So
Destroyer.
as we look at this, I mean, like let's start with the casting. The incomparable Pedro Pascal, Oberyn Martell. He also fought cocaine in Colombia, and I want to know, what do you think?
Huge. What a challenge. I was watching in the last episode especially, like you have to physically act, right? And it's a nod to the acting and the editing and the direction really is how much emotion and stuff you're getting from like the slightest head nods, the way he moves towards things, the body language is like everything. And given like Pedro Pascal the rest of his career, you're not necessarily, I don't know how they knew that he was going to be that good at that.
He's kind of becoming
he is.
like a go-to TV action guy. Like, I really think that, the whole, especially his arc on, Game of Thrones and everything,
Yeah.
like really people kind of realize how good he was. And especially after he died in what I would describe as tragic
Yeah.
ways, especially when this guy had it.
And he had
My man had it, and this guy didn't. No. We get it. He raped her. He murdered her. But we just finish it off.
We just finished it off.
You can be the guy to do it. So I mean, he's become the de facto guy in this, and like he was I thought he was really good in Narcos as well. Like he's
In Narcos, he's
the guy. I think he's way better than the other guy.
Oh, way better.
way
The
better.
other guy.
Yeah, the other guy.
Pablo
And
Escobar.
that man was Pablo Escobar.
and he had a little thing called cocaine.
It's too much.
It's like, then Pedro Pascal comes out and is like, I get it.
Yeah.
Fucking go back to the suburbs. I've been on this track my entire life.
Well,
So
I just like the whole idea that, like, just to add on to what you said, he's wearing a helmet, so you're not seeing any facial expressions whatsoever, which even film, television, that's kind of like a selling point. There's some people that are terrible actors, but they have good facial expressions, right?
yeah, one of the hardest things you can do is emote through a mask.
Well, yeah.
Right, and do that, and then I thought he's done a really, especially in spite of what I think are like certain writing issues,
Yeah.
with it. Like he's done really well. He's like, you can have really, really, really well written material, and then just have an actor who just trashes it.
Atrocious.
And this guy's done really well, and this is going to be another thing that he could be doing more with Disney. There's a lot of things. He's got a lot of stuff that's going to happen with him. How good he is.
Oh, he's gonna be busy.
We like Pedro Pascal, but what do we think about the auxiliary casting? We've had some big cameos in it. We got Bill Burr in the last episode.
Love
We had Nick Nolte,
Brian Poizan.
Brian Boyzan.
The Werner
Fantastic.
Herzog is
Werner Herzog.
got to be
Werner
one
Herzog.
of
Well, this
the
is kind of
best surprises.
This is kind of what I want to talk about. Is like, who do we like? Like, who's the best? I mean, we have Apollo Creed, Carl Weathers.
Taika.
Yes.
I nominate Werner Herzog just based on the fact that he called them cowards and made the phenomenon that is Yoda stick. It probably would not have the same power if they had done it a different way.
For those of you who are not familiar, they but they played with the idea of using a complete CGI setup for Yoda, or the Baby Yoda, the artist currently known as Baby Yoda, and Werner Herzog was against it. He said, "You guys are cowards, and we need to just continue using this puppet." And I think, honestly, I think the fact that they, at least for the close-ups and like the facial expressions that they're using the puppet, it's really friggin' good.
Really good.
And I think Werner Herzog saw it because the man is a visionary. Did Grizzly Man. He's also Fitzcarraldo.
He's also terrifying.
He is terrifying. Burden of
Have you seen the interview with him where he gets shot and he's like, "Leave it. It is merely a flesh wound." He gets shot by like a BB during an interview, and he finishes the interview just out of the blue. I wish I was making this up. No, I wish I was
100% gonna
No,
watch that.
for those of you who haven't
I'm
seen
looking at
Werner Herzog get shot on camera, please just actually
YouTube it.
YouTube just that.
Werner Herzog
Just Google
shot.
what I just said.
definitely
Werner
doing
Herzog
that.
getting shot on camera. And he just, as he says, it's merely a flesh wound, but still we
It's
respect
merely a
it.
flesh wound.
That is the greatest thing ever.
I think, honestly, the Carl Weathers casting is good too. I think he's, first of all, I'm on the Carl Weathers ticket. So Apollo Creed,
Arrested Development.
the Arrested Development is just incendiary.
We
It's
got Stu
incredible.
going.
Yeah, it's incredible. And then, of course, Predator is fantastic.
Dylan.
Dylan.
You son of a bitch.
You son of a bitch. He's really good, and I think his parts has been really good, and obviously we're going to see him throughout the whole thing. He survived the whole, all the Mandalorians coming together,
Yeah.
and
He got shot, but
he's good.
he took it.
Yeah, I thought it was good. I thought Nick Nolte's part was really good. They didn't even have to, put much makeup on
They had to
him.
pretty him up, actually.
They had to
little bit.
pretty Nick Nolte up for the particular scene. I thought he was good. We got two
He was
shots.
great. I was like, I wonder who Nick Nolte is going to play. Oh, there he is.
Oh, auxiliary casting. We had special guest appearance from Hellboy. I thought that was a really cool tie-in to a different universe.
Yo, that random guy who looked like Hellboy, but it was clearly the guard from Shawshank Redemption.
Wait, was this in the new episode?
It's in the sixth,
okay,
the one that you didn't see.
Yeah. He's he plays Hellboy, or some guy
Hellboy,
who's
Hellboy
supposed
as himself playing some other guy
to play
that's
some
kind of
guy
like
as
Hellboy.
himself, and it's
kinda like
it's
Hellboy.
a 90 Boyne.
Meta
Can we
as
check
fuck.
this out, please? I believe it's Byron Hadley, the guard. He's the guard from Shawshank Redemption. I thought, like the Bill Burr thing was a little jarring too, because I was expecting like him to talk. He just starts breaking out into comedic banter.
I just was impressed by his acting. I guess I know that he's been doing some stuff. I hadn't really seen any of it, and he's heavily featured in that episode. Like, he's got screen time. If he was not able to handle it, he was like the best character in the episode.
They've just informed me Clancy Brown is the Byron Hadley.
And Natalia Tena is the Twi'lek.
But it is the Shawshank guard. It's the same person. You had that right.
Oh
That
yes,
woman that guides the Star Kids.
that's correct.
The wildling.
Yes, excellent, Boyan. We had Tonks from Harry Potter.
Okay, I was like, who are you talking about? Oh, Tonks.
Yeah.
ID is the voice of Zero. So
Wow,
that's great.
this is incredible. So lots of people in this show, and I think that's what the whole point is. I mean, and you know what? It kind of brings you back to that. For those of you who have seen Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Leonardo DiCaprio's character does those. He's the big baddie, and he appears every episode on random shows, and I think they got that going on. That's one of the reasons why it's really like driving home this idea of the Western. Is this whole idea of there's like a new guest villain
Yeah, it's like
every
villain of the
time,
week type
villain
thing.
of the
Yeah.
week, and it's really getting back to that almost TV show movie of the week type thing, which I guess goes back to the original idea of Star Wars in general, because like the whole thing was inspired by Flash Gordon and and those that kind of idea. And I think like it's one of the the only problem is, again, it's taking away I want to know what I want some kind of continuity beyond beyond just like the kid
Yeah.
and Mando.
As long as it doesn't have to keep expanding. That's, I think, what you run in with one centralized world, is that you have to keep... Yeah, I'm just afraid of that bigger, more type of thing. And I like the far reaches of the galaxy. I like these like smaller planets and stuff like that, because there's a lot more room to just tell a story and entertain instead of
That's the thing, right? It's like
XDs.
I get
New kinds.
I get what
They got
they're
black
doing.
guys.
I get what they're doing. They're like, it's okay to do this kind of, villain of the week, like village of the week, planet of the week type shit, but do it well. And I don't think they're nailing it.
I also think you need to get to a point where not every, like, where you're establishing boundaries, right? Where you're establishing what kind of the run of this is going to be. You can't have every episode expand the world. You know what I mean? You kind of got to, like, create what it is. And then when you do have those going out to the expansion, when you do decide to visit to different places, like, you can't visit a new place every single week. There has to be some redundant. And also, like, you're going to a new place every week, and all these guys have tracking fobs, and they keep ending up trying to kill you.
They are going to have to address that.
It's that
Yeah,
everywhere
it's
you
been
go
annoying.
and hang around no goodniks, there is more people trying to kill this child. And, like, at what point, like, you have to be careful that it doesn't turn into a situation where you're getting tripped over the original concept of the show, and that you're, like, moving it along and you're developing it, and you're beginning to see where this thing is going. And, like, they've been teasing this random figure that's been coming in, and like, there's teasing, like, what the Empire or the the First Order involvement is, the former Empire remnants or First Order situations are going to be. And yeah, so I don't know how they can keep it up at this pace, but it'd be interesting to see some of these actors get worked into, because they have had a lot of talent come in, get into the,
They've
the
also
regular.
teased multiple people not actually being dead that were dead or whatever. So
Yeah.
I don't think that they're just. I'm hoping not anyway. That it
Was that
doesn't just change.
IG-88 guy back in the last episode?
No,
I want him back. What's his name?
IG-11.
IG-11.
I mean, I'm
He
all
was
for
dope. He was dope.
for assassin droids. I
Yeah.
mean, as a child, one of my favorite things was IG-88, and I just want
so
more.
sick.
IG-11.
How good was the motion and the VFX on that?
That's what sold the
was
first episode. That was so sick.
so creative,
And it was
and
it was
such a
Taika.
cool way to do it. It was like,
Yeah.
it was some Neo droid stuff, but the way the axis, like how everything just turned on an axis.
Those
I thought
were
that was just
really good shots. They
absolutely
like
fantastic.
prematurely shot their wad on that episode. I feel like it's hasn't really been. There was moments that have come close, like in episode 3, but
do you think the droid who plays IG-11 makes SAG minimum, or do you think, like, what is it? I'm not sure.
he's a daily rate.
He's got a rider.
Daily rate.
Yeah, daily
He's
rate.
got a rider. So I got a question for you guys now. Is we know who we've seen in it. Who would you like to see in it?
What, like Dream
Yes,
cast?
dream casting coming into The Mandalorian.
Like Nick Cage? I don't know.
Nick Cage is who?
Fuck, I don't know. The bad
No,
guy.
I want to. No, you got to go. I want
the
to.
bad guy on
Yeah,
the
but
planet.
is he a humanoid? Is he playing like a Twi'lek, or is
I mean,
he?
he's already
Nick
kind
Cage
of
in there,
not
man.
humanoid.
Nick Cage is a Gamorrean bodyguard.
He just plays himself.
Nick Cage
just-
only plays himself.
He just plays himself. But like he's bad.
Yeah,
It's
it's
Nick
just
Cage.
when he got nominated for Leaving Las Vegas and won, they just happened to like the one. They put Nick Cage in the right thing.
Yeah, but Leaving Las Vegas is fucking dope.
It is a good show, good movie, good flick. Nick Cage, but like, honestly, man, straight up, I just don't want to see your standard Jason Momoa shit. I want to see someone good. I want to see Dustin Hoffman.
Cool.
What can Dustin?
Dustin
I want to see
Hoffman.
Dustin Hoffman play fucking Jawa.
Definitely.
Someone weird like that. I think Laura Dern deserves another
Wow.
another stab because she was in that terrible part of that terrible movie, but she is really, really amazing.
She is so good.
I don't know if
and
they can just pop her
She's
in there. I'll
lovely.
do it.
She's
She's
awesome.
She could
I love
play
Laura Dern.
way more things than Holdo. Like, just don't have a plan. They
No,
just,
she had purple hair.
The purple
Yeah.
hair
That
was
was-
pretty.
her
pretty
that's-
Purple
that
hair
was
was
like-
like,
That was yeah.
I mean, realistically, I love her.
yeah, Laura Dern's
She's
a beautiful
fantastic.
Yeah.
She is fantastic.
She's
Apparently,
fantastic
we
in
are
that.
all consensus here, lovers of Laura Dern. Glad
Get her
I brought
back.
it up.
She can play whatever.
Yeah.
Laura Dern, give us a call.
You know what? I want to see.
Well, it is possible for her to come back,
Maybe
given the timeline. Right?
didn't they smash the dreadnought into the whatever?
Oh,
They smashed the thing into the dreadnought.
Why haven't they been doing that
the
for
timeline
years?
like just after Return of the Jedi?
Yeah, I'm wondering where all the suicide attacks have been since the. It's like, and then also in Rogue One, we're getting the Hammerhead Corvette.
Yeah,
Where's that puppy been?
I have no idea.
on
We
layaway.
literally could have. That literally could have been another $35 toy. The Hammerhead Corvette.
$35.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
way
basically.
underselling it. It's way more than $35. Like,
The Lego's probably $500.
Yeah.
Well,
Because it's full. It's the size of this table.
Fucking life size.
Yeah.
Well, we gotta go with that, right?
Okay, guys, I want to talk about Baby Yoda. We've talked about him. He's the cutest guy in the entire Outer Rim. Where the hell is this kid from? Who is he? What do we think? What do you think?
One of the things I was kind of curious about, because they say he's 50 years old, right? And I get the whole, I guess his species ages, but does he have the mind of a 50-year-old?
no, I think he's a
like,
baby.
It's just a baby, because like there's scenes where I feel like he's aware of everything that's going on, but then they double on it, and then he's back to like being a kid.
I thought that too. That's a good point. I
Yeah,
thought that
like
too.
I'll be watching it, like that one scene when Mando's injured,
Yeah.
and he notices the cut, and he's like, "I'm going to go heal this guy," and he keeps putting him back.
He
And
just,
he
like-
keeps putting him back, right? So I was just kind of like, oh, okay, he's 50, so he kind of has more of a mind of, and I think that's where the wisdom of their race comes from, is the fact that their minds grow, but their bodies stay. Whatever. That's what I thought. Then there's other scenes where he's like a baby, where he,
I think
you know, what I mean?
that to me screams that it was written by like a parent, because
Yeah.
that's like little kids are like that. Like a 3-year-old, if say he, you
Mm-hmm.
got like a dog year equivalent established for, they age at a different amount. But like a 3 or 4-year-old is like that. They'll just like say this like super, just like demonstrate crazy understanding beyond their years, but then 2 seconds later, like pee their pants.
Yeah, like they're
Right?
just
like,
like
so I think that's kind of where Yoda's at, is like he's just like he's a kid.
He's got a bit of that duality for sure.
yeah.
Do we think so? Some of the things kicking around, and I mean, again, they've done an amazing job with this. I mean, they deciding to do like the CGI for any of the wide shots where he's moving, but any of the close-up stuff or stuff where like the face is emoting is done just through through puppetry, and it's honestly it's the way to go. It's the way the original Yoda was done.
His floating carriage too. Let's give shout outs
Yeah.
also to that. Like
They
whoever
made it
designed that, the way it moves across the
Little
screen,
bassinet.
everything like that. Yeah. Yoda's-
Yeah, and also it like kind of like for the first little bit addresses, does he have to carry this kid all around? It's like, no, he's got the floating thing. Maybe it's booby trapped. It should have been. I would
I
have
don't
done
know, probably cuts your hand off if you try to touch him.
it. But some of the popular ideas of there's one, it's a Yoda clone, because I mean in the Star Wars extended universe, cloning, and obviously in the regular universe, there's the cloning of the stormtroopers. Also in some of the promo shots, the Doctor who's with Werner Herzog is wearing as a Camino symbol a Caminian,
Which are the cloners?
which are the
Cloners,
cloners
yeah.
who did
From
the
episode
stormtrooper.
2.
Yeah,
Oh whoa.
on
That's
his
a-
so
that's a
they start
nugget.
assuming that he's a clone. Also in the extended universe, if for those of you who read the books, Palpatine gets cloned,
Gets
and that's a
cloned.
major part of the kind of extended universe stories. So that's one of the angles they're looking at. One of the other ones is that it's just a member of Yoda's species.
Yeah.
And then one of the other ideas was that it's actually Yoda's child. These are the three ideas that are kicking around.
Yoda's fucking.
Yoda.
Yoda
Yoda
fucks.
fucks. Yoda fucks.
Yoda fucks. The
Oh my
only
God,
problem
that's
is
great.
I believe the timeline
cool.
doesn't work for that.
You don't know what their gestation period is.
They lay eggs.
They
They lay eggs.
They're bi-gender.
they spawn.
That's what Dagobah
they
is.
they spawn.
Dagobah is just their spawning grounds.
Well, this is what I'm saying. Just because of the overlap in the time, I'm like,
Yeah.
is this guy fucking on Dagobah?
Is
Let's-
Yoda hermaphroditic?
Yeah, but-
Oh,
He doesn't. He just breeds himself.
Yo, because you can't just like Tinder up on Dagobah.
No.
Like,
What
you're
was
just
Luke
white
doing there?
swiping Minox.
what was Luke doing there?
See?
That's a huge one.
That's
Luke and
tough.
Yoda.
Luke, I ship it. I ship it hard.
Shit's lonely. Well, there would be a powerful offspring.
Who's the? All right.
Powerful offspring.
What is that?
This went off the rails fast.
Powerful offspring. I mean, I'm a firm believer that it's a clone, and that is the issue, that it was
Yeah.
cloned. It was obtained, and the whole idea. I mean, obviously, a clone of Yoda's power, is a weapon and can be used as a weapon, or they need to make sure that it dies.
Right, and I think that.
Are there more? If that's the case, is there just one?
There's not that many species in the Star Wars world. Like, there's not that many one-offs. If I can even.
Oh,
think of
there's
any.
tons. What are you talking
Yeah?
about? Yeah. Oh, so many. Look at it. Look at like every cantina scene. There's like so many.
But it's never. Is it always stated that there's only one? You kind of always have the feel that there's a planet back off. Somewhere with a bunch more of that person.
Of course,
so to think that there's only one Yoda doesn't.
Well, we don't know.
And also, if we see the size of the Galactic Senate, there's just people there. That place is huge.
Yeah.
That's the Madison Square Gardens of the galaxy, bro.
Yeah, there's ETs in there.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
There's just the aliens
No,
from
seriously,
Independence Day.
yeah. I remember. Well, I think episode 2. There's ET in the background in one of the little pods.
Actually?
Yeah. ET's canon. ET.
No way.
Yeah. There's like 3 ET creatures. I don't know what they're called, but ET is canon in the Star Wars universe. Episode 2. I'm pretty sure. Boyan?
We're gonna have to.
If all the listeners could email
mean,
all
like-
your pictures of ET in Star Wars, that would be
No,
it-
this is
is
legit.
it
I'm
free-
surprised
is
you
it a
didn't know.
being
I'm
that
surprised you didn't
looks
know.
like
I'm surprised I
ET?
didn't know either.
Yeah.
I'll give you the timestamp.
Yeah. It's
Okay,
episode
we're
2. Is it
definitely-
episode
Boyan's going
2?
to find us the timestamp.
Is it episode 2?
Boy, and you find that.
It's in Phantom Menace.
Oh, it's in Phantom
Phantom
Menace.
Menace.
Oh.
Okay.
Flip your.
No, but it's there.
I was gonna say flip your laptop around, but no, we want this to record. I know.
So, I mean, like, also, I think that's probably, where the story's going to end up going, because he can't do, like, also, like, if Yoda has a kid that's, like, counter to all his Jedi teachings.
Yoda's got needs.
Yoda does have needs, but he's trying to say that you cannot have, but you know what I mean? It would be, what I'm saying is he has needs, but if he does exercise those needs, given what he says, Yoda's a fucking hypocrite.
Do as I say, not as I do.
Yeah.
Type
I mean, I thought only the
Does
Sith.
he say that?
Only the Sith
I
dealing
don't
out.
know.
Or when it comes to fucking, he's like, do or do not, there is no try.
Oh.
Don't only the Sith deal in absolutes though? That sounds pretty absolute.
Yeah, but no, I'm talking just listen to what Yoda says. I'm only using Yoda's own words against him.
Yeah.
Do or do not,
He
there
also
is no
like hit
try.
R2 with his cane, so I mean he's not the most.
Yeah, but that's like grumpy, lonely Yoda. You don't need no robot.
Yeah, lonely.
You don't need a robot coming in for space, giving you a hard time, getting all up.
That was a front. Remember, guys? Like that
I
whole
know. I'm kidding.
childish behavior was just.
You can't. Yeah,
that
but
was-
he
acting.
legit.
Yoda's silly as fuck though.
He legit beat R2 with that cane.
Yeah.
He
He
didn't have to go that far.
When he
Yeah.
was playing with that little flashlight thing.
And at the
Like,
beginning,
can-
he mocked Luke in the first place. Cannot get your ship out. Then he's the one who pulls it out. It's ridiculous.
but he didn't pull out.
Also, there's a bit of discrepancy. Baby Yoda just like doesn't even have his powers yet and holds up that whole.
No, he has
monster
his
thing.
powers from birth.
Yeah, but Yoda.
all of this is
when
speculation.
Yoda pulls
we have no idea.
the
No,
X-wing
of
out,
course.
like it really takes him like a lot of energy and effort. So
Yeah.
it's like, is it believable
No,
that
he's-
this
he's
baby is
fronting.
just like
But he's
doing it
900
immediately?
Years old and near death when he does that. So
It's a good point. 900 years and near death, according to Boyan.
900 years?
900
I know. I'm
years.
just because we're reacting to things off mic, so
Is it 900 years?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
from
believe,
Zilla?
I believe.
Yes, that's what he says at the
Yeah.
end. He's like, when 900 years old you are.
Wow, really good impression.
Terrible.
No, it was good. It was good.
Was
Was
good.
it? Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been working on it all morning.
Oh, nice.
I just stand in front of the mirror, pinch my ears, just let Yoda fly. I'm like Chunky Frank Oz.
Oh,
It's incredible.
Nice.
it's amazing.
But like, what do we think though? Do we let's give our final predictions moving forward.
Let's see how they wrap it up.
Yeah.
But I think it's only 8 episodes, right? We were talking yesterday. Is it 8 episodes?
I want a prediction.
I think, I don't know, like, moving forward with, I guess, the next season when it happens, but I think eventually what's going to happen is either he's going to have to, I guess, hunt down this guild, because it seems like they're never going to stop.
That would be good. That would be a
Right.
good through line.
There's
Every
gonna be
episode
a
he's
point
hunting
where he's
down.
going to be like, okay, well, I can't keep running forever, right? Or B, he makes a deal with them and takes on another task to kind of compensate for not bringing in this bounty.
I like it.
I
So
like-
he does them a solid to erase this.
To erase
Because
this.
you're totally right. He's at no point is he ever going to be left alone.
Yeah.
Because again, the irresponsible parent that is Mando
Yeah.
only hangs out with degenerates. So obviously the degenerate tries to kill him, little baby Yoda, as often as humanly possible.
Yep.
I think that's a good idea though. Like
That is
Yeah.
really
second season could be like him going through the ranks, and like every episode is him eliminating somebody from the ranks of like the guild. That would be a
something, yeah.
sick season.
He goes to Carl Weathers and he says, Apollo, I need this to end. What can I do for you?
And just
I don't like the idea of him making a deal. To be
And then,
honest, I like him
hunting
taking it.
down
yeah.
the guild.
Yeah, like
Just, like,
Munich
full-on
style.
hunting him down?
Like Munich style.
I love it.
Yeah, that's that every episode, and then like the final episode. But okay, my opinion, I think we're gonna have it's gonna end in a big cliffhanger. Like they did that to ensure a second season, so I think like it's gonna end with Baby Yoda like getting captured.
Something.
Hot take.
Hot take, baby. And he's got to like infiltrate whatever this is to free Baby Yoda when he come back.
It's gonna be an empire. It's gonna be
Yoda be frozen in carbonite.
Ooh, little baby
That's
carbonite
gonna be the
slab?
cutest slab I've ever seen.
Would you want to take that down from your wall? Like,
No,
oh, just
that
leave
would
it
stay
up
there. Yeah.
you know,
I love that. That's a collector's item. Little Baby Yoda.
So Cassian Andor and Obi-Wan Kenobi are both slated to have their own shows. Like, how do you feel? Like, do you feel the success of The Mandalorian and, you know, what you've seen so far bodes well for the future of Disney live action? Or do you think that, you know, there's obviously massive improvements to make? What do you think?
Well,
And I'd like to point out also that Diego Luna is slated to play Cassian Andor, and Ewan McGregor is slated to play Obi-Wan Kenobi.
I think it's gonna bode well. That and just the simple fact that they need content. I mean,
Yeah.
it's Disney Plus it's competing with a lot of other streaming platforms, so this was gonna happen to some extent. Whether it was these two characters, I think the Obi-Wan show is gonna go over very well, especially having Ewan McGregor come back. It's something that I was looking forward to. As far as Cassian, I mean, it's good in a sense that there's, as a Star Wars fan, I have kind of zero expectations for it.
He's
So
a
I
good
could-
character.
Yeah,
Don't
he's
get
a
me
good
wrong.
character.
I just don't give a shit.
That
But, like,
show has to be good right off the bat.
It just has to hit home, and I think that's the show where they're going to take a lot more risk to kind of bring in, I guess, other audiences.
We get a more of that
whatnot.
seedy
That's
underbelly
what
from
I
that
think
one,
is
I
gonna
think.
happen.
Like, that's the thing I like about the idea of the Cassian Andor show is that, like, those elements of, like, again, the non-Skywalker part of the Rebel Alliance. This is kind of why I liked Rogue Squadron in the video games, right? Is that you got the day-to-day of just, like, the fighter missions and that kind of stuff. Like, I want to know more about the non-Skywalker stuff, and Cassian Andor's character and like those guys from Rogue One add the like Dirty Dozen kind of, you know, thing to it. So it adds something that's not in there. Whereas the Obi-Wan show, I mean, I think we can all agree that Ewan McGregor was probably the best out of the actors in the prequels. Like, regardless of what people think about the prequels, I haven't heard too many people be like Ewan McGregor was no good.
No, he genuinely just loves that role. Like, you see him in
Yes.
interviews, he's all about that role. I like, yeah.
Anywhere where he wasn't good was to him just being fed to the wolves by bad dialogue. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, anytime his performance wasn't on, it was just because the words he was saying were just not good.
Yeah. I mean, realistically,
And that gets so underestimated sometimes. You see like an actor in a thing, you're like, oh, they were so horrible, and then you actually think about what they were saying, and that's like bad. Yeah.
Now,
bad
can I throw it out? Where do we want to see this Obi-Wan show? Like, what era do we want this to take place in?
it's going to be taking
Oh,
place.
we know.
It's
Yeah.
his time on Tatooine.
About from what I saw, about roughly 8 years after Revenge of the Sith.
Okay, so it's just like leading up to New Hope type business.
Yeah, because
Cool,
and like
cool. I'm down.
I
So what
thought-
is he just like fighting Tusken Raiders and like getting sand out of his butt crack for
yeah,
a couple
he's
seasons?
just getting shot with gaffy sticks.
Well, I don't know now that
Can
Disney's
you get
taken
shot with a
over.
gaffy stick?
I thought it was
Did
a
he?
rifle.
Wasn't it? I thought
Boy,
it
and
was
look up if a
rifle.
gaffy stick is a
I
rifle.
feel like it's melee. But anyway, go on.
Yeah, I was saying that there are books about
You
his
could be right.
time on Tatooine that I've read, but I don't know if those are going to be canon still. But he does go off planet at times, and
Let's get Darth Maul in there.
yeah. Oh yeah. That's
Well,
in
because
the
that's what they
series.
do in
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
Clone
yeah.
Wars,
Clone
right?
Wars,
exactly.
They have the
final
Darth
battle.
Maul knows that he's here for
That
a
he's
reason
there.
to protect something.
I thought that scene was epic.
Well, yeah, and Darth Maul just
I
wants to
love that
die
scene.
by his hand.
yeah,
That's all he wants. It's so fucking badass.
yeah, and I mean, this is why the Disney TV, you know, and the Star Wars TV can be really good, because there's moments like that, and I'm hoping that, you know, that you start to see what the thought process is, you know, for that show. Like, what does Obi-Wan do? Because this idea that he, you know, that they put the kids where they put them, and then there was no threat to them at all.
Yeah.
Like, I don't necessarily buy that.
I think there was not really a threat, but anything that if anybody discovers, I'm guessing he's gonna have to take them out, right? That's what I think. I think we might see him more grittier because although he's a Jedi, there's no order anymore. He has a lot to protect. This is the future of the Jedi. So for me, it would be interesting to see him kind of, after being such a beacon of good, kind of have to go into these underworlds to protect this secret, because if this fails, it's over.
Can we talk about though how much of a shitty deal that Luke got compared to Leia? Like Leia got to go live.
Worse.
What's
Drinking
that?
Blue milk and shit.
Yeah,
and she's on Calderan.
Leia's a princess,
This guy's
legitimate princess, and then
shooting womp rats for fun.
yeah, he's bullseyeing fucking womp rats at his T-16. That's what he's doing for fun. And he's literally a farm boy, like farming moisture on Tatooine. Like what? Why? What?
I think it's pretty cool.
Well, think about it. No, but think about it. Every day, it's like he walks out when the sun sets, and he's like, "Another binary sunset on Tatooine. Please get me the fuck out of here. I will do anything. We don't even have water.
Yeah.
We have this thing that makes water. On Alderaan, they have fucking waterfalls.
And look how that turned out.
I wonder how he felt when he realized
she wasn't on it though.
I know, but I'm saying
You could blow this planet up. If I'm not on it, it'd be great. Whatever you
where
want
are
to
you
do.
gonna live, bud?
Yeah, way to live.
Oh, man.
Did they ever talk about like Leia's childhood anywhere other than just the references as a plot point?
I think don't you see Bail Organa's home planet when they like receive her? Wait, was it Coruscant or no?
No, it's Alderaan.
It is Alderaan.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you see that at the end of Revenge of the Sith, right? Am I wrong?
Yeah. No. When they divide, he takes
It's been a minute since I've seen
takes
it.
the kid,
Yeah.
and I believe you see, them
It's goddamn
arrive,
paradise,
and
I'm
then
sure.
you see
They got water.
and then you said they at the very least have bloody water.
They got one son. That's
They
all
got
you need.
one son.
That's all you need, motherfucker.
Can those things eclipse simultaneously? Like I have no. We'll get into that later.
What does
That'll
a
be another
double
podcast.
solar eclipse look like?
I don't know.
Well, you need multiple moons. I don't know how many moons Tatooine has. Boyan, how many moons does Tatooine have?
Many.
Many moons. Okay.
That's next
We're not even.
Astrophysics of Star Wars is next episode.
Astrophysics
It definitely
of
our
Star
questions
Wars
definitely
is
are
next
definitely
episode.
conflict with its soft science fiction fairy tale roots. I mean, do we want to see more of these shows? Like, I guess that's the is the question. I mean, like you said something interesting too. Like, if you're a kid, Andrew, you said
If I was, I'm going to tell you right now, if I was like 7 or 8 years old and this show came out, it would be my favorite show of all time, I think. I would have loved it. So like when I get too nitpicky, you realize that this is a family show aimed at a very wide age group, and
I don't
for
know,
that,
man. A
it
dude got
forgives a lot
chopped
more.
in half in the first 3 minutes of the show. It's not necessarily a kids show.
It's a kid's show.
mean,
I think they can
it's
do that now.
It's
I think
YA.
kids
It's
just watch
YA
that.
at the it's young adult at the minimum.
At the minimum.
I mean,
there's no blood.
PG-13.
Yeah.
could all of our listeners tell me if you would allow your children to watch this show?
Yeah,
I'm
we should
very
get a-
curious.
Yes.
I come from a family where they let you watch anything. So
Yeah.
like we're like
Yeah,
Die
look
Hard.
how-
So
look
we're
how
like
you turned out.
Yeah, I know. Look how I turned out. Don't let
Cool.
your kids watch Die Hard too.
Cool kind of morbid addition that Lanca also hasn't seen was those stormtrooper heads
Wow,
on the
just-
pikes.
Inc-
I have
Incredible.
seen.
That was
I have
cool.
seen
That
that.
was a
Incredible.
really
It
cool
looks like,
addition.
What do you mean?
my
I have seen that.
backyard
That was, yeah,
Is
that
that
was
5?
like,
Is that episode 5?
yeah.
Okay.
because they go on Tatooine.
I like how this guy just calls me out on didn't even need to.
And it was on. It was also
under the bus.
because they threw back to Tatooine, so they went to Tatooine for that episode. And it's
Also,
just,
it's like you don't have any other planets. Like we got to go to Tatooine
I know,
every
why do
time.
we gotta go to
like we've
Tatooine
been
every
there.
time?
We've seen
okay.
it.
So this is also it. So yes, we have. We've been there. So like, if you're gonna get on this I don't want a new Tatooine story. I want some kind of continuity.
Where's Jabba?
Where's the Hutts?
Yeah, that's what I meant.
We
Sorry,
know
where's the
Jabba's
Hutts?
like.
Yeah.
Where are they?
Are they? I know there was like Zorba the Hutt, like his father, I believe.
Yeah.
Zorba.
Well, I mean that's not
There's
canon.
Durga the Hutt.
Yeah, didn't he have was that his brother? He had a brother.
Oh, yeah.
That was Durga.
Yeah. Despite their glandularness, they reproduce at an alarming rate. The Hutts.
Oh wow. Are they mammals?
They're definitely not mammals. They're definitely cold-blooded.
All right.
Okay, what am I speaking?
be
Throwback
hilarious.
to Jabba. Do you remember in I believe the first episode where they have the salacious crumb
Yeah.
grilling on the spit
Yeah,
and the
yeah.
other one's looking at it? A lot of people were
Is Salacious Crumb is his name, right?
yeah. It was the I forget what his.
I don't know.
species
I have
is.
no idea what the
So they had the
species
little
is.
salacious crumb guy roasting.
notice that.
They had him roasting on the spit, and I found it very gratifying because
Really?
salacious crumb, like, can someone fucking kill this thing?
What was
It's
his laugh?
annoying.
What was his laugh again?
Oh, ah! Something like that.
Fucking nailed it.
Was that
Nailed
it?
That was good.
That was really
It
good.
Yeah. Oh, and he just reacts to everything, and then sometimes the cut to the reaction shots of him is a
do
classic.
people know who
Salacious Crumb. If you don't know who Salacious Crumb, Google
Anybody
it yourself.
listening to
Like,
this podcast, I would assume knows who Salacious Crumb is. But for
Yeah.
those of you who do not know, it is the little bat reptilian thing that is
he's
with
part lemur for sure.
part lemur. So do you want to see more of these kind of things?
shows,
Yeah, we're talking the
Specific-
shows here.
specifically live action shows.
Yeah, we're gonna get into the whole cinematic universe in the next podcast.
Yeah, but specifically live action shows. Yeah,
Yeah.
fuck
Yeah.
yeah.
I think it's gonna be good. I think that
Make them good though.
Yeah.
I think, honestly, like, I'm the kind of person where just give me the damn Star Wars stuff and I end up consumed. Like, honestly, I love the universe so much. Like, the prequels were upsetting, but Rebels, the Clone Wars, Tartakovsky Clone Wars, like,
Tartakovsky Clone Wars.
they were
is the-
all
is the-
so
the
good.
tops.
And I'm like, to be very honest with you, I enjoy Rogue One.
Yeah,
I didn't
I like
hate
Rogue
Solo as much. So to be very
Solo was good.
like to be
Solo
very
was
I
good.
haven't even watched
to be
Solo yet.
very honest
Really?
with you, the
Hard
only thing
recommend. I
the
think
only thing that kind
that
of
was in the homework. So under the bus you go, sir.
so that kind of that kind of there is this we are descending into anarchy. All right, guys, that's the podcast for this week. Thanks for listening in. If you have questions, comments, or just want to fact check, reach out to us on social media. And if you like what you heard or just want to watch dope videos, go to our YouTube channel and ring that subscriber bell. See you soon.